Welcome to the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce Quicktakes Legislative Live Video Series. My name is Matt Murphy, the Government Regional Affairs Director for the Chamber. In this series, we're going to share quick visits with our local legislators. We want to know what's going on, what the hot topics are, and what in general is happening in Olympia. I want to thank the Tire Factory, Hayden Homes, and Great Northwest Transport for supporting this series as policy engagement partners. So, taking this time out of his busy schedule, we are joined today by Representative Corry from the 15th Legislative District. Hello and welcome, Rep. Corry.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be with you, Matt.
Yeah, so in addition to just being the representative or being a representative from the 15th Legislative District, you are also the Deputy Minority Leader. What does that mean?
Well, I've got two answers for you. The one is the official one. So I am basically the second in command for the House Republicans. I act as the leader whenever he needs me anywhere, whether it's with the media or with the caucus. I handle a lot of the back and forth with the House Democrats. My counterpart over there is the Majority Leader. So he and I are constantly in each other's offices talking back and forth about policies, bills, issues, member management, stuff like that. My other answer, my joking answer, is I am like the Dwight Schrute of the House Republican Caucus. If you have any viewers that are fans of The Office, I'm the assistant to the regional manager. So it's a bit of everything, and I never know. Every day is different, right? So some days it's predictable, most days it's not.
Yeah. Well, I know that we're proud of the work that you've done over there. I know that the Tri-Cities region, between what Rep. Connors and what Rep. Rude and the leadership positions they have, and you guys, you make us proud over here, so we appreciate that. So as we wrap up this legislative session, I'd like to get your take on what's happened in the last little bit. It's been a long, short session. It's only 60 days long, but you guys have had a big fight on your hands this year, done a lot of work. I don't know, was it how many hours? 26? How many hours were you arguing over the income tax?
The income tax was 24 hours, like 33 minutes, but who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting?
Longest floor debate in the history of the state of Washington. Some people went and looked back, and there was the previous record holder was about 18 hours in like the 1920s or 30s.
Wow.
And that was on funding a highway.
Yeah. So this one here, it was a battle. I woke up Tuesday morning, turned it back on, and you guys were still there. So we appreciate the fight that you guys put into that. But from a business perspective, can you give me some of the highlights and the lowlights of this last session?
Yeah, sure. I wish I had more highlights, so I'll save those for the end. But I'll tell you from a business perspective, just very bluntly, it is clear that the majority in Olympia, I think, has a misguided understanding of who our businesses and our business leaders are in this state. And instead of viewing them as partners in Washington's success, or I should say, Washington is the beneficiary of the success of our businesses across the state, including in the Tri-Cities. They view them more as a means to an end, right? So instead of looking at them and saying, okay, these are job creators, these are providing, not just the tax revenue, but they're providing jobs for families. They're the industry that they built the bridge behind you, right? These are the companies that underpin Washington's greatness and the amazing things we've been able to do. They don't see that anymore. They see them as almost, enemy is not the right word, but they see them basically as a way to do what they want to do. And so that's how this session has largely gone. It has been a big focus on growing tax base. Obviously, you mentioned the income tax fight, and I think we may get into that a little bit more because that is a business issue. If you're like one of the many thousands of small businesses across the state, you're likely an LLC or an S Corp, and those businesses are going to be subject to this new income tax. and I think probably unfairly so in a lot of cases. So that was concerning. But just other tax and regulation policies that we've had to fight this year have been really, really frustrating. The House Republicans, I think, have punched above our weight. We've been able to stop a lot of bad things, and we're in the minority, right? The majority party can pass any bill they want. They have the votes to do that. But we've been very effective at working with a lot of Democrats on the other side of the aisle who understand that, that get who our businesses are and why we should not be so, oh, I can't think of the word. I'm still a little tired from that debate, be so antagonistic towards them. So there was like in a couple of good things to note, I guess. There was an environmental crimes bill that would have basically turned a lot of businesses into potential targets for felonies if the business or the employees made a mistake in the course of their business that had an environmental impact, a detrimental environmental impact. And that's not to say we were opposed to if a company is flagrantly harming our environment that we wouldn't want to hold them accountable. A lot of times this could have gone for somebody who made a simple mistake. And without the ability to even fix it, without, facing significant fines and jail time. There was, obviously, I mentioned the income tax. We've had a number of regulation proposals that would have made it more difficult for permitting, more difficult for getting stuff built, getting stuff done. I want to highlight some of our members down in the Tri-Cities that you're very familiar with there. I've been with you a long way. Like Representative Barnard has just been dogged on making sure that the Tri-Cities can maintain its leading role in power generation now and for the next generation around advanced nuclear and stuff like that. Representative Connors has been amazing down there as well, fighting for businesses. So we have a really good legislative team. I know that answer is going a little long, and now I've diverted a typical politician here. But those were some of the good things we've stopped. There was some stuff they got through, I think, that are detrimental to our communities. The tax policies, again, I think that they continue to spend more and more money. And as your chamber partners know, when a business cannot continue to spend more money than it takes in and remain open or successful, and that's where Washington is right now. We keep seeing our rankings slipping, and we're trying to stem that tide. We're going to continue to fight for that, and hopefully we can get some more business-friendly folks over here that we can work to invest and collaborate with instead of being so hostile towards.
Yeah. So one of the things that we didn't talk about in the beginning, and I hope, and I don't know how well prepared you are to talk about that, but the operating budget and the cuts that were made basically to education and childcare. What are your comments on that?
Unnecessary, and I think I'll try not to assign motives, but let's just say completely unnecessary. Last night, they crammed through a $250 million cut to education that's going to hurt a lot of rural districts around transition to kindergarten and other programs. Unnecessary in the grand scheme of what we're doing. We continue to see revenue growth in our state. As a matter of fact, we had a really good report on our economic revenue forecast during session that showed we didn't need to make these extreme cuts. But they continue to do that. And I've never been in a situation where we talk about budget challenges, we make cuts, but then we spend more, right? So money's going somewhere, but right now it's being diverted from, I would say, our core functions of government, education, public safety, community support, roads, bridges, stuff like that. And it's moving to more political stuff. There's regardless of your politics, right or left on federal issues, we are spending an undue amount of time on messaging fights against the federal government. And a lot of those are financially draining to the state unnecessarily and politically and policy unnecessary to the state. And they will have unfortunately, they'll have little impact to actual folks on the ground, right? Around, like, let's take public safety, for instance. We're putting in more restrictions on what our locals can do and how they can do it, but we're promoting that as a way to fight the Trump administration. even though we can't control what the feds do in a lot of ways. And that's going to hurt our communities. And so that was our response wasn't, we're going to go defend Trump. Our response was, okay, eyes over here. You're looking at the wrong Washington with these bills. So I think those are some of the ways that, you mentioned the education piece was huge, the cuts to public safety. There were some victories. I think that the group of legislators that are, that represent the core part of the Tri-Cities, with the 16th and the 8th, were really good at stopping that LRA expansion in the community. I think that was a huge win that took a big fight over here while it was going on at home too. So I'm hopeful that, to your original question, we're going to bring it back. I'm hopeful that we can restore a lot of these cuts by sitting back in the, hopefully coming back next year and in bienniums to come, and really looking at what are our core priorities of government. Because people often don't realize 4 years ago we had almost a $15 billion surplus. Year after year after year, we just keep spending more than we take in. And we're doing it both in terms of, like, obviously the new taxes and revenues, but then we were taking money from one-time things. So 2 years ago, we raided the budget stabilization account. We took out all the money from that. We are doing more. We're taking more out of our BSA this year. We had a bunch of money from the feds from COVID that we spent on ongoing projects, but that's one-time money. And you just can't continue to budget like that. So that's where you see those cuts to education that we think are wrong. We put up a huge fight against it last night. And then our priorities, if we, can have a better seat at the table going forward, would be to restore those and actually look at, what should the state be doing versus what are the nice to haves that we, would be great if we had unlimited revenue, but we don't, and we have to live within our means.
Yeah, and that's I think Washington State's the only people that don't have to live within their means.
Correct.
So yeah, and the other interesting, your point on businesses is that I think that the majority party looks at all businesses as Boeing and Starbucks, and they don't realize it includes the dog groomer down the street, and those businesses that they get hit just as hard as the big guys do, and they can afford it the least. So you're absolutely right, and I appreciate your perspective on that. There has been a lot going on in Olympia. You guys are wrapping it up. Hallelujah. And you'll be back here, back home real soon. I know that you and I can talk forever, Rep. Corry. And like I say, I do look forward to you getting back here. But as I promised everybody when we do these are quick takes. You've got a busy schedule ahead of you, so I'll let you get back to that. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, no, thanks for having me. I am so excited to go home tomorrow. Obviously, it's going to be family first for me. I've got 6 kids at home that are just waiting for dad to be back every day, and I can't wait. And then once we get settled, listen, I'm ready anytime you need me down in the Tri-Cities. I know you've got your panel coming up that I've unfortunately committed to something with the Yakima Chamber, but I'm happy to come down and visit with any of your businesses, big or small. I love seeing what the real creators in the state are doing, and figuring out better ways to support you all.
All right, I appreciate it. Chris, you have a great day.
Thank you.